everyone. I'm your host, Chad Brown, and welcome to Binion's Gambling Hall Casino for another exciting episode of Cash Poker. Joining us tonight, well, he's one of the best all-around poker players in the world. He's also the author of Ace on the River, which is a must-read for all of you poker players. He's a good friend of mine, Barry Greenstein. Hey, Barry.
Hey, Chad. Thanks for having me on your show.
Well, it's great to have you, Barry. Last week, Bob Bright won in the biggest pots up to date in Cash Poker, a $70,000 pot, beating David Williams.
That was a big pot, Chad. Bob's an unpredictable player, and that's worked well for him here on Cash Poker.
It sure has. Let's see if anyone's going to win any big pots tonight. Let's meet tonight's players.
In seat number 9, Jeff Lipton from Los Angeles, California. In seat number 8, Adam Richardson from San Diego, California. In seat number 7, Tony Korfman from Boulder City, Nevada. From Las Vegas, Nevada, in seat number 6, David Williams. And rounding off our final 5. In seat number 5, Action Dan Harrington from Santa Monica, California. In seat number 4, also from Las Vegas, Nevada, Todd Brunson. In seat number 3, Vanessa Russo from Las Vegas. In seat number 2, Brooklyn Dan Puglisi from Los Angeles, California. And in seat number 1, Hoyt Corkins from Glenwood, Alabama.
The blinds are up, the antes are in. Let's shuffle up and deal. We're underway here at Cash Poker. Of course, these players have been playing already for quite a while, Barry. Some players are winning, some players are losing. That's Hoyt Corkins, and he has a 7-8 suited.
You don't like getting that junk there, huh? No. It's on me, I'm out.
What? He's throwing 7-8 suit away? Come on, Hoyt.
Action Dan falls, and David Williams on the button. He has ace-10 offsuit. We know he's going to throw a raise in.
Yeah, David's an action player also.
David makes it 500 to go. The blinds are 75, 150 with a $25 ante. 500's a fair raise.
Here's a real poker hand. Ace-10 offsuit certainly isn't one of my favorite hands. 2 jacks, though, is playable by anyone.
And how's your book doing?
Still doing well. It's still the number one, volume 1 still the number 1 poker book.
How do you, who does that data?
Dan reviews the data
That wasn't meant to be
daily.
I'm totally curious, I swear.
Harrington book reviews. Volume 1.
And here's the flop. 5-5 king. Now this is always scary, Barry, when you have pocket jacks and a button or anyone calls your raise with an overcard.
Well, he's going to make his continuation bet, and if he gets called, he's going to be afraid he doesn't have the best hand anymore.
Now David makes the call with no draw, just plain old ace high, no help. 8 of spades on the turn. Adam checks and David checks. Now deuce of spades on the river puts 3 spades up. It's a scary card, but Adam checks.
Well, the spades came late, so it's not that scary.
David's going to fire out and try and take it down.
You know, Adam should realize David didn't bet on the turn, so he probably doesn't have a king. Ace high.
That's no good.
Didn't know you had that big a hand.
Nicely played by Adam.
Not that
I'm glad we just talked about the 3-barrel hand
I
before
didn't know you
that.
had that big a hand, jeez. My telephone fell in the washing machine.
It got washed. Seriously. I'll have to return your call.
That's funny. Mike the Mouth Madison.
Or maybe, you know...
Hoyt Corkins is going to lay it down. Brooklyn Danny's got pocket 4s. Small pocket pairs in early positions are always tricky to play.
He likes to gamble more when he's on TV.
Well, you know, you want to get in there to try to flop a set and take out a big pair, or maybe someone's got ace-king, they'll hit a king and you'll hit your set and win a big pot.
David Williams, of course, calls. He has 5-6 of diamonds.
I'm more surprised Hoyt Corkins has folded 2 hands in a row. I've never seen him do that.
And it's checked around. Adam and Jeff checked. We're going to see a flop. This gives Adam middle pair queens.
Yeah, nobody has much. Of course, when an ace is on the board, it freezes people because they expect someone in there has an ace.
King on the turn.
And again, only Hoyt had a king, and he's not in there.
David Williams, who has a pair of sixes, fires out a bet. He wants to take it down now.
And he actually thinks he might have the best hand, Chad.
I don't know. I'm not in the
Gotta be the
pot.
best hand, I suppose.
And he does take down the pot. Aggression pays off.
Nothing. I'm just muttering.
There's a lot of money on the table and things are starting to heat up, so stay with us as Cash Poker returns. This is Las Vegas and you're watching Cash Poker.
Hi, I'm Tony Korfman. I live in Boulder City, Nevada, near Hoover Dam. There's a big difference between cash games and tournament games, and there's really a different mindset for each one. I've only been playing for a couple of years, tournaments, and there's a lot more patience involved with tournaments. Cash games, you can have a lot more fun. There's a lot more fun going on in the game. A lot more camaraderie. Tournaments, very grueling.
Barry, now a lot of these players you have a lot of experience against, both in tournaments and in cash games. Do you see a difference from the way they play tournaments versus cash games?
Well, I've only seen a couple of hands, and the action players are Hoyt and David Williams. And the tighter players, I play with Dan, he's pretty solid, and Jeff Lipton's pretty solid. Action Dan, although most people think he's super tight, he can mix it up.
Call.
So I'm going to blow the whistle on him there and let people know. He has the tight image, and he tries to use the Action Dan things loose, but he goes both ways. I hope that doesn't sound bad, Dan.
Action's on Brooklyn Dan.
Raise?
Unless you're staking.
550.
And he's going to let it go. David Williams has raised the pot with the ace-10 offsuit for 500.
Ace-10 is one of David's premium hands, actually.
And David, of course, not going to let us down. He's going to follow out a continuation bet. Flop missed him. Tony has Queen-King.
And Tony's not going anywhere.
The 1750.
He's going to raise it up.
Seems reasonable, and David could fold here, but I guess he figures the raise is so small, maybe he can spike an ace for 1,000.
No help to either player. David checks. Tony checks.
Yeah, well, Tony's just giving David a free card. David would have gone away on the turn there.
And it's checked by David.
1200.
Tony makes it 1,200, and David's going to lay it down. Nicely played by Tony.
Thank you.
Action continues here at Binion's. You folks out there watching, if you want to come and play with the big boys, you got 25 G's. Just come on down to Binion's, put up your cash, and we'll lock up a seat for you. Action Dan calls with pocket fours.
Trying to get in cheap.
David, ace-6 of spades, makes the call. Tony calls with 9-10.
Ace-6 of spades, another drawing hand, just like 2 4s.
Adam mugs. Jeff lays it down. Hoyt's out on the button. Brooklyn Dan in the small blind with Jack Deuce makes the call.
Some people like to complete with anything. I don't like to get in there with a hand like Jack Deuce, even if it's cheap.
What's the reason for that, Barry?
However, you guys.
Because if I don't hit a jack and a deuce, or 2 deuces or 2 jacks, I'm afraid I'm going to win a small pot if I hit one of them and
lose a big pot.
Or lose a big pot. I just don't like to play garbage.
Flop is 5-5-3. Looks like a very good flop for Action Dan.
That's good for a small pair. Really, everyone was drawing, even the 2 4s, but when the flop comes that small, Dan just figures 2 4s rates to be the best hand.
Now, of course, Vanessa Russo flopped 3 5s.
Yeah, that's kind of a bad thing for 2 4s.
And she actually raises it up to 1,500.
And this is tough for Dan, because Vanessa will pull some stuff. Dan's got his radar out, and it's not unreasonable that he still thinks 2 4 is the best hand. He's actually putting Vanessa on a 3.
9 on the turn. And the reason that
Three there.
Dan Harrington would think Vanessa has a 3 is that he would think a player with trips would not raise.
That's right. It's kind of a reverse or something like that.
Reverse psychology.
Yeah. And the 9 shouldn't have changed anything. It's far enough away from the 2 5s and the 3. It didn't make anyone a straight. So if Vanessa did happen to have 4-6, she didn't make anything. But he probably played that pretty well, actually.
Ooh.
I agree.
Something makes you nervous about playing against the guy who whose book taught you everything you ever did.
You're a bully.
I'm like, I got nothing. I'm all confused. Like, I don't even know if I have a hand anymore by the end of it.
He hasn't written the cash game book yet.
It doesn't matter.
Action Dan Harrington's going to be under the gun. He has a 10-queen offsuit, and he's going to get away from it.
Yeah, he played in later position, but this is a little too early to come in with a hand like that.
Tony, ace-jack offsuit, and he's raising it up to 600.
Sounds pretty reasonable, although, again, ace-jack sometimes gets beat up by ace-queens and ace-kings, so it's not that great a hand.
Play with caution.
I like these small pairs. Again, I like to get in cheap, try to flop a set.
Dan makes the call. Now, Vanessa has pocket 4s.
And again, another small pair, so you expect her to call and try to flop a set. She's pretty young, so
Raise.
2 4s might look big to her. They look real small to me. And she's raising Tony.
I get 19.
Well, she's sort of putting a squeeze play on here, having Tony raised, Dan just flat calling. She knows Brooklyn
No,
Dan's a pretty tight player. So if she could get past Tony, she thinks she could get Dan to fold.
That's not really a squeeze, because nobody's really put in the middle here. Tony's just having to face Vanessa, as Danny will have to. And it looks like she got through them both.
And like you said earlier, Barry, Tony's ace-jack was so vulnerable, he had to get away from it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Where's my applause?
We miss you, Bob.
Action continues here at Binion's. The players are the same, but they've changed seats, Barry, because there's been a rotation going on in and out of the other table.
Yeah, I see Hoyt's move closer to Vanessa. We can't really blame him for that.
We don't play for fun.
Adam going to lay it down. Jeff is going to lay it down. It's on Vanessa. She is in a small blind. She has pocket 8s.
That's the best hand we've seen in a while.
450.
Now she's making a small raise here, making it only 450 to go.
Well, the blinds are 75, 150, Chad, so 3 times the big blind. It's not that small.
Quarter ante.
Yeah, she might have made it 500, but pretty good hand in the small blind. And she's gotten Hoyt to call with 10-6 of hearts, which is kind of on the borderline. A hand I might fold, but I'm not surprised to see Hoyt call with it.
Like to go there in the summer, or you go in the winter when it's snowing too?
Check.
Hoyt gets a really nice flop here, even though he's behind.
Now, I expected Vanessa to bet there. Some people will be surprised that Hoyt flopping a flush draw didn't bet after she checked, but he kind of smelled a rat. You know, when someone checks you where you expect him to bet, he's thinking maybe she flops 7s full or has a king, and he didn't want to step in it by betting her hand 4.
Right, he has a big hand that he doesn't want to be pushed off of by having the flush draw. Now, Vanessa does make the bet on the turn. She makes a $750 bet.
Sometimes you'll see Hoyt raise with a flush draw, but that initial check by Vanessa has him a little bit frozen.
Check.
Now, the ace on the river, the name of your book.
Well, it's going to freeze Vanessa, and like I say,
think you
Hoyt's
got me.
already afraid because he still doesn't know why Vanessa checked initially.
And Hoyt's shaking his head, Barry.
Man, I missed a bet.
He said it. Yep.
Exactly, but that's what happened. If Vanessa would have bet out originally, Hoyt might have raised her right from the go and taken the pot down.
So I'm not calling.
It wouldn't have took much either.
Huh?
It wouldn't have took much of
It
a
wouldn't have
bet
taken
either.
very much at all.
Anything big happened? What's what we were gone?
Chad, really nice pot.
Chad?
Chad and Adams. Bob Adams.
And Vanessa slammed my car door.
Ouch.
You get to hear the players talk, and then they get bleeped. What the heck's going on here?
Might have been some profanity by Tony.
Yeah.
Don't show your hand like that, Todd. It'll tighten the game up.
Setting you guys up.
Adam's going to lay it down. Now, Jeff, he's getting in cheaply. He has king 4 of spades, and he makes the call.
You haven't seen much out of Jeff. King 4 spades isn't much of a hand, but maybe he'll flop some spades.
Now, Brooklyn Dan has big slick, ace king, and he's going to raise it up.
And of course, that's one of the problems with playing King 4 spades. Now, if a king hits, Jeff's going to lose some money.
If Jeff even gets in this pot. Oh, Jeff folded. And Vanessa folds, and Hoyt with ace 3 offsuit is also going to fold. And we're going to have a heads up between Brooklyn Dan and David Williams. Now, David made this call cold out of the small blind.
Well, David likes to play. He's young. He'll get over it.
Good flop for Brooklyn Dan and a bad flop for David Williams because David flops middle pair of queens.
Raise.
Well, he's trying to find out if Danny has the ace. If Danny doesn't have the ace, David can win the pot right here. Maybe Danny's got 2 10s and David actually has the best hand.
Yeah, 5,000.
Or if Danny has 2 kings, David's putting some pressure on him.
David made it 5,000 total. Dan had bet 2,000.
I raise.
Looks like he's grabbing some cash.
Yeah, Danny raises it up to 12,000. And now Danny's putting a lot of pressure on David, but
Well, David found out what he wanted to find out, and that is that he doesn't have the best hand. So you wouldn't expect David to go any further now.
One interesting point, Barry, is that Dan could have just called in that spot. He had position and actually could have extracted some more chips from David if he would have just flat called.
That's true, but if a queen or a jacket had come off, we'd have said, Danny, why didn't you raise and take the pot that was yours?
Closed captioning provided by.
Action continues here at Binion's Casino. Action Dan Harrington. What a career he's had, Barry, huh?
Yeah, he's really lit it up in the main event at the World Series of Poker.
600.
Jeff Lipton is actually Dan Harrington's business partner.
Yeah, I was curious with the two of them at that table. Do they have some competition going, or are they going to play friendly with each other? We haven't seen them in a pot together to
No, not yet.
find out.
She had it right there. You can see a white tape.
Yeah, yeah.
Brooklyn Dan lays it down.
These cameras have.
Now, Tony had raised to 600 with pocket nines. Vanessa Russo called with ace deuce of diamonds. And David Williams with ace 9 offsuit makes the call.
It's a mandatory call for David with any 2 cards, I think we're finding out.
And Todd, who's in the big blind with 8-5, figures he's got 2 live cards and is getting the right price.
David, you're the small blind, right?
Yeah, that's surprising. I guess he's trying to hit lightning.
David Williams is first to act. He does flop middle pair of nines with the ace kicker. He bets it out. Todd lays it down.
Yeah, in a reasonable bet here by David. If no one has a queen, he figures he's going to take the pot down.
Of course, Tony, let's see if he slow plays it. He does have a set of nines. Vanessa's going to get out of the way.
And this is pretty normal play with nines. And, you know, it's reasonable for David to think Tony has a flush draw.
2,500.
Now, Tony bets 2,500 on the turn. Tony, of course, fearing the straight draws and the flush draws, just like what you said, Barry. And David makes the call. 5 of hearts on the river, and neither player should fear the heart flush, Barry.
Yeah, it's the backdoor flush draw that came in, but sometimes someone did pick up a flush draw on the turn and hit on the river.
David checks. Tony, of course, has the best hand with 3 nines, and he's afraid of the backdoor flush and is not going to bet it and is going to win the pot. Do you think he should have put a little value bet in there?
I would have once I got checked too, but he might not have gotten paid off, so might not have been an opportunity lost, but I like to fire there.
$10,000 pot for Tony.
6-8.
We got one up here, too.
Oh, yeah? Another one?
He moved in on me again.
Another time?
I picked off another big move and bluff again off him, man.
Really? You figured he'd learn the first time?
Yeah, that's where I got all the cash at.
Tony's under the gun. He has 10 queen. He just won a nice pot from David. He's going to sit this one out.
Again, a little too early to play the queen 10, just like we saw before. Jeff could have played the 10-9, but again, it's kind of early, and now we're seeing some garbage.
He's going to lay it down.
As we expect, it's another 2 cards, another hand for David Williams to play. and that's what makes him such a tough tournament player. It's really hard to put David on a hand because he's playing every hand.
Right.
And when things are going well for David, he builds up a stack like almost no one else in poker.
This flop gives David bottom pair 4s. And, of course, Todd has an open-end straight draw.
Todd will be happy to take it down here, but David's saying a pair is a pair. I've got one. I don't care if it's the smallest one. And looky here. 2 pairs a lot better than 1 pair. And right now, David's thinking Todd probably has top pair or second pair, and he's just drawn out.
Angry bets.
Jack will not help Todd. David's going to win this pot unless Todd tries to bluff him out.
If a 10 had come there, Todd was going to win a nice pot. A 5 he wouldn't have done so well because there would have been 4 to a straight up there, but a 10 would have hurt David.
Right.
The third note left.
And David picks up a $3,000 pot.
Stay in your seat, because Cash Poker will be right back.
It seems like we've seen David in just about every pot. That's how he plays tournaments. That's how he builds his stacks. But the people are kind of letting him dictate the action. I know there haven't been a lot of big pots around, but with a guy like that, I start pushing back and raising him. If he's going to play every hand, I'm going to make him play it for more money than he wants to.
Right. And what Barry's talking about is actually...
Here he is again, by the way. Sorry to cut you off there.
Yeah, absolutely.
5-4 clubs. Not a bad hand, but when you're playing every hand, people start to realize you probably don't have that much every time you're coming in. That's why we see Todd with 7-8 offsuit and Dan with 7-9 of diamonds coming in. They're saying it's David Williams. Very likely we've got the best hand. and in this case, they both do have them outcarded.
My man. All right. We loosened him up. We got him. Wow, it took both of us to get him in. One of us holds it out for
One
sure.
of you, exactly. Neither one of you guys by yourself could have brought me in. But together, you dragged me in.
Well, this is a money flop.
Especially for Action Dan. He swapped a pair and a flush draw with that 7-9 of diamonds, so he's ready to go to war.
David Williams fires out with middle pair 5s.
Well, actually, it's bottom pair, Chad, but I don't think David cares. Like I said, for David, a pair is a pair.
Now, Todd Brunson, 7-8, gut shot straight.
He's got a gut shot straight, but remember, there are 2 diamonds up there, so he's a little afraid that the 6 of diamonds could come up and cost him a lot of money.
Right.
What is this?
We're trying to bring you in again.
What is this?
No way.
Now, Dan's given the what is this when he's saying, I'm the favorite over almost any hand. With a pair and a flush draw, even if someone's got an ace, Dan has 14 cards that'll beat it.
All right, I might as well raise it. See if I can win.
Gonna raise. Everybody got a 1600. Then I pull the 7. Who's gonna raise?
You were right, Hoyt. No way we're going to get 4-way action.
And Dan raises all in.
You know, it's really rough, David, when that 4-5 goes down the tubes. I guess he's really upset.
Now, Tony's got top pair aces.
He does have top pair, but he's got a weak kicker. And that's what Dan's raise is designed to do, to get out these aces with bad kickers. He's actually approximately even with Tony, because Tony has a diamond out of the deck with that 10 of diamonds. But I'd fold if I had Tony's hand.
And Tony does make the laydown, and of course Todd's just joking around and lays it down. And
I love that I heard you said you ran into it, buddy.
and nicely played by Action Dan.
Believe me.
We got set. My plan was to shoot my way out. That's my plan. I was going to start firing on the turn. I was too.
My plan was to shoot my way out before you guys decided to fire.
Dan's saying okay before you put your chips in. He must have been on a draw there.
That's what I said.
I almost called him with a 5, but I'm afraid his overs with his flush draw might beat me.
His overs might beat my 5. 6-8 of diamonds or something, and I'm in bad shape. Gut shot draw, the overs.
That was an interesting hand. Hey, if you're just joining us, I'm Chad Brown. I'm here with Barry Greenstein. We're here at Binion's Gambling Hall and Casino in Las Vegas. This is Cash Poker. Vanessa Russo limps in with Queen Jack.
Danny's got a nice ace suited, ace 9.
Raise.
He could just call here, but he's putting in a little raise.
600.
David Williams, 9-3 offsuit. What? I guess he's stinging from that 4-5 getting beat, and he decided to take a hand off. 10-3, some more garbage.
Back to Vanessa.
Okay, Dan.
And Vanessa's going to give Dan some
I should
action.
have folded.
Well, she limped in to start. She had some money in the pot. I don't think she would have called the full raise, but she decided to call the slight raise.
And look at this. Vanessa picks up top pair of jacks.
1,000.
I'm surprised she bet out. She could have checked to Danny, let him bet, and we see Danny has second pair. And Danny's calling, which is reasonable, because normally when people lead out, they don't have top pair, they have second pair or bottom pair, or they have a draw.
Right.
So he's thinking she's got something like Queen 10, 10-8. Maybe she has a 9 with him, but he's got an ace kicker.
2,000.
She's not 100% sure she has the best hand, and she's kind of controlling the pot size here. Just figuring that she's going to pay this amount off anyway, so she might as well bet it, because checking might give free cards that could cost her.
Right.
Good end.
Ace King?
Danny made a good laydown. I think the hand was played pretty reasonably by both of them.
And Vanessa picks up a $3,800 pot. Hey, for you poker players who are going to be in the Los Angeles area on March 10th, I recommend going over to the Commerce Casino. It's for the first annual Memorial Poker Classic charity event for the police officers and firefighters who have died in the line of duty. It starts at 6 p.m. to support their families.
You know, like something wrong when you're thinking about changing up your play because you're wearing a logo.
Action Dan Harrington makes it 600 to go with the ace jack.
Again, late position, certainly a good hand. King 8 of diamonds here for Adam, a questionable hand. And he gets away from it. And here's Jeff with a bad ace. I expect him to fold. What do you think, Chad? He's looking up his partner.
It's funny, we were speaking earlier, Barry, about how these two guys would play against each other, and we're going to actually see a hand. Wow, look at this. Top pair aces for Jeff, but aces and jacks for Dan. Now we're going to see how hard they play against each other, Barry, if Dan just flat calls here.
Well, Jeff's grabbing some chips, and he's betting out. And Dan's putting his full Hollywood on there for his partner. Acting like, oh, I don't know what to do. He's trying to make Jeff think that he thinks that Jeff has nothing and is just doing something to him. But we know Dan's saying, I got you, buddy. You'd have never bet out if you had this hand beat. Definitely trapping, but he's also thinking that Jeff might have bet out with a flush draw.
Now the 10 on the turn puts a possible straight up, but I don't think either player is really worried about that, Barry.
Well, Jeff could have had king-queen. Dan's thinking it's a possibility. He didn't like the 10. I think he would obviously much rather see a 10 than a diamond.
Dan bets 1,500 on the turn. Now Jeff makes a call.
Well, again, Dan didn't raise him on the flop, and Jeff thinks he might still have the best hand. Now this is certainly an action killer. Queen of diamonds. Adams, if you remember, folded the king 8 of diamonds. He's the guy who's saying, why the heck didn't I get some money in there?
That's good. And Dan Harrington's going to win the pot with aces and jacks, but like you said, Barry, that was an action killer. Dan couldn't even make a value bet on the river.
Right, he wasn't going to get called. There was really nothing Jeff could have beat except a bluff at that point.
Dan picks up $6,000 from his partner and has some bragging rights when he gets back to the office on Monday. Action continues here on Cash Poker. And for you folks who watch a lot of tournament poker on TV, you could see that in Cash Poker, the blinds and the antes stay the same. If you go busted, you could rebuy in. As long as you want to keep playing, you can keep playing.
You see David coming in here with 6-5, Chad? I think he went through withdrawal. Missing those couple hands. I mean, he's got to play now.
And it is the 6-5 offsuit.
So who's going to come with him?
Jeff makes a call, surprisingly, with 10-3 offsuit.
Well, he's in the small blind. And again, like I said, it's not the kind of play I like to make, but most people get in there when they're in the small blind and it's limp to them.
Just making it a more laborious job in the editing.
It's actually a good flop for David. Hitting the sixes, Jackson sixes, and he does take it down.
Building some more chips in the stack. That's David's game.
Dan, you started out. You started out.
Promise if he does it, I'll do it.
I'll do it. If you started out, I will. I just want to make sure you're not going to kill it.
Brooklyn Dan Puglisi going to lay it down.
Yeah, 10-7 offsuit. Here's David with 8-7 offsuit in second position. What do you expect? He's in there. But, Chad, people are letting David dictate the action. That's one thing you have to realize. People haven't been playing back at him. When they have, they've had real hands.
Anybody get back?
Speaking about playing back at him, Adam with 3-5 of diamonds, raising it up to 750, Barry.
Well, see, he heard us talking.
Now, Vanessa Russo, big slick, ace-king in the small blind.
And that's the problem with trying to take the action away from David. If your timing is wrong, you run into someone else.
2,000.
2,000 even. Get another couple.
And she makes it 2,000 straight. Easy lay down for David. And Adam, of course.
Well, there's no of course. He could give it up, or he could try to hit something.
And it looks like he is going to try to hit something. He makes the call. And this flop does give him a gut shot straight. Let's see if Vanessa continues. She is in the small blind and is first to act.
Yeah, and she doesn't have anything. She still has just ace-king high, but she's going to keep pushing to act like she's got a big pair.
And she makes a nice size bet, 3,000.
Yeah, if she'd have bet too small, Adam might have tried to hit the gut shot.
Thank you.
But I mean,
And well played by Vanessa. She takes down the pot.
Mid pair. Mid pair.
I'm sorry?
You're at a mid pair. You missed your set.
Not exactly.
No. Ace queen?
You don't say?
You didn't have ace king.
Huh?
You didn't have ace king.
Vanessa always wants to get some information, every hand.
This pair suited. That would be good.
Adam doesn't know what to say.
Yeah, you can't tell her he had 3-5 of diamonds.
Hoyt Corkins is a small blind, Brooklyn Dan the big blind, and David Williams is going to be under the gun. And 8 deuce, he's not going to play. Todd's going to lay down his 8-4. Action, Dan, giving a little action. He's got pocket nines and he flat calls.
Surprised that he didn't raise.
Me too.
Yes, please.
Especially in light of the fact that David Williams had already mucked. Now, if David didn't already muck, he might have been trying to trap him.
Well, nines is a little too small to trap, but I'd expect him to raise David.
Jeff makes the call with ace-3 of spades.
And Adam has some bigger diamonds than last time, king 10, so he's in there.
Brooklyn Dan checks.
You want some?
Wait for some different action. To leave and go pursue that.
Hoyt checks. Brooklyn Dan checks.
High society action.
Action Dan checks. Adam checks.
Again, I'm surprised. Dan with the 2 nines might have wanted to bet there. He would have taken it down probably.
Take it.
Diamond on the turn gives Adam the flush draw now.
Could be dangerous for Action Dan that he checked his nines.
Don't look at me. You better across the table. What am I supposed to do?
And Adam actually is the one doing the betting now. He picked up a flush draw, and all indications are nobody has anything.
It's like hypnotic.
Right. Now, Danny Puglisi, Brooklyn Dan has bottom pair 4s. And he lays it down. He thought about it.
And now here, Action Dan is thinking, I didn't bet. I haven't shown the strength of my hand. I probably have the best hand. There's no reason to think anyone has jacks here.
No, it's 2.
Now, the bet was only a $500 bet, but look at this. Diamond on the river.
And this is really ugly for Dan Harrington here because there's 4 to a straight. The backdoor flush came in, and in this particular case, the backdoor flush is more likely than the front door flush in hearts because nobody bet the flop, and Adam did bet the turn. He could have bet because of the flush draw that he picked up, and that is, in fact, what happened.
Now, Adam bets $3,000, Barry, into a $1,900 pot. The only way that Dan can even call this is if he has at least a straight, I think.
Well, not necessarily because it's an overbet. An overbet means one of 2 things. The guy has a good hand, or the guy is saying, I'm trying to bet enough to take the pot down. I don't want to bluff too small. So now it's a case where you have to read it, and Dan read it correctly.
Which player?
Well, Barry, Binion's is once again the site of some phenomenal poker.
Well, Binion's is the mecca of no limit hold'em.
So, Barry, what is your cash poker hold'em highlight?
My hold'em highlight hand of the day is the hand where Danny had ace-king on the button. He raised up, and David Williams made a little bit of a questionable call with queen-jack off suit. I probably wouldn't have made that call, but David plays a lot of hands. Flop came ace-queen-5 of different suits. Danny flopped top pair with top kicker. David flopped second pair with a jack kicker. Danny bet $2,000, a normal bet, and David decided to test him immediately, raise it up to $5,000. He felt that he could make Danny lay down a hand if Danny didn't have an ace. And now it was back in Danny's plate, and Danny had some choices. He could call here and let David continue to bet, but he decided to just re-raise, take the pot down. But of course, the problem with making the pot this big, if David somehow did have him beat, of course, ace-queen's the most likely hand to have ace-king beat there. Danny was going to go for his whole bundle. But I think he made a reasonable re-raise, and that ended the hand.
The UPC Hold'em Highlight is brought to you by All In Magazine, the world's leading poker magazine.
Great analysis, Barry. And join us next week for more exciting action here on Cash Poker. I'm Chad Brown for Barry Greenstein. Have a good night. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us here at Cash Poker. Be sure to come back next week and see us then. I'm Brandy Williams. Good night.